Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Decentralized Revolution, episode number 146. We are hanging out with Clint Russell from Liberty Lockdown. Co-host Aaron is having some technical difficulties. My name is Nate Thurston. I'm also a co-host. And so, we're going to hang out with Clint. We're going to talk about all the crazy nonsense that's been going on. Clint, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I just got done burning an Israeli and an American flag and posted bail just in time for the show. So I'm happy to be here.
Have you? Now I don't know if you're joking about burning that flag or if you actually did. I've said now on my show a couple times that I'm going to burn a flag once a week, and I checked. you can get a flag. It's made in China, a 3x5 flag for $10 on Walmart's website. And so I feel like it's probably worth the investment. Have you considered actually doing it?
Oh, I strongly considered it day of. In fact, I posted about that. I said, I had never really considered it, and now I'm really thinking about it. But, fortunately, there was some heroic military veteran that went and did it within hours of Trump making that unconstitutional announcement. So I guess he'll be the canary in the coal mine to see what his punishment will actually be. And the fact that he's a veteran, and I think he was a Bronze Star recipient, he's got a much better chance of winning in court than I do. They'd be like, well, you're not a veteran. You're just some podcaster trying to make a name for himself. And it's like, well, that's not the reason I would be doing it. I'd be doing it out of principle, but it would look like a PR move. So hopefully that the veteran, makes the point that we needed.
Yeah. So have you dug into the executive order at all? I was reading it today, and the veteran you're talking about, if we're talking about the same guy, it's complicated because he got arrested for setting a fire in a federal park or something like that, and that's what he technically got arrested for, from what I can tell so far. I don't know if they can actually criminalize this whole flag burning thing. It sounds like they're going to find instances where a flag was burned, and they're claiming that it could be incitement to violence or a riot or something like that. It almost seems like the executive order doesn't say what Trump says it says.
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't say what he says, but that doesn't mean that they won't try and use it the way Trump said. As you know, AGs or attorneys will do whatever they think they can get away with. So, yeah, you're right. The EO doesn't say that explicitly, but it does say that if it is lit on fire and it leads to riots, if it leads to violence, then you could essentially be prosecuted under that purview of incitement. And, Rothbard talked about this. I did a whole episode on this, so I'll keep it brief. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that incitement is even really a thing. Like, it still ought to be the culpability or the responsibility ought to fall on the shoulders of anybody who decides to do a criminal act. Just because someone says to do it, that seems kind of absurd to me. And then you have the obvious irony, or hypocrisy, I should say, of Donald Trump, who said, give him hell and all these other things before the J6 riots. And, he was basically hunted to the end of the earth, as well as his followers were, for what amounted to incitement and rioting. And it's just like, they just don't have any principles, man. They make me sick.
Yeah, but no one burned the flag at his rally,
right.
And so there was no incitement.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing that really bothers me about this, is that I didn't get a ton of pushback. I think 90% of people agreed with me, but the pushback I did get was very loud and very angry. And the primary message I was receiving from people was that they're like, this is a left-wing form of protest, so fuck these people. Yeah. And I was like, wow, like that's where we're at, huh? Like, just because it's lefties that oftentimes are the anti-war protesters, historically, that's not a thing anymore, but it used to be the way. And now you want to ban their means of protest because it offends your sensibilities. It's like, all right, so, and yet I'll be called woke, right? Because I don't want to give infinite money to Israel, but y'all are asking for safe spaces when it comes to your favorite piece of cloth. It's like, come on, man.
There we go. Hey, in the first few minutes we hit, Aaron, while you weren't here, we hit the flag burning. We've touched on Israel already, and we're talking about woke rights. So it's been an eventful time. What's up, Aaron?
So you guys are for Israel, right? 100%?
Not exactly.
Of course.
No, yeah. Hey, I'm sorry. Clint had a little bit of equipment thing connecting, and then my internet decided to go just reset or whatever. So sorry about that.
Good.
No, yeah, it's good to see you again, Clint.
You too.
So with the flag burning stuff, it's like political distraction 101, right? Like when I remember a few weeks ago when the Epstein, hey, there was no list, this and that, and oh, now Iran, distraction. Like this is like classic, like old Roger Stone in the 70s and 80s, Roger Stone tactics, Nixonian type stuff of like, oh, you don't like the way the news is going, throw something out there that people will have like this visceral reaction to. And many people on the right have the thing for the flag, which again, I'm not a flag guy. I don't fly flags. I'm a Christian. I don't bear allegiance to any earthly kingdom. And that's what a flag represents. It's a war banner that I will follow you into war. So I'm not about that, but like, it's not unreasonable for a regular American to have fond feelings toward the flag. And I don't criticize people who feel that way. I think in some cases it gets a little weird, but like, that's a classic move of like, hey, the news isn't going well. I'll do something that will distract people. And sadly, I think that's kind of what this is, which wouldn't be necessary, I think, if some of the things that MAGA and other people on the right wanted Trump to do, if he were being consistent and getting some gains on that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sure. But also when the distraction is an infringement on our constitutional rights, I think it's important to react to it. Yeah. Yes, I am put in a position of having to, say squirrel and go after maybe what they're intending me to go after, but it doesn't change the fact that I have to say something because this is important. So it's tough. And just to, backtrack and say, I actually agree with you. In fact, I'm probably one of the few libertarians that does look at the American flag fondly.
That was an interesting Freudian slip.
I also look at American flags fondly, but
yeah. Speak for yourself.
Oh man, I've missed Tower Gang. Anyways, I do look at the American flag fondly, and I don't fondle it. God, I can't stop making jokes. All right, I think of it as a representation of a lot of the things that I think are special about America. I think that are, the principles that make this country great. So I don't begrudge people that get upset when, someone who's like some overt communist lights an American flag on fire and it pisses them off. Like, I get that, but there's no victim here, and I just still believe that, like, if there's not a victim in a crime, well, then what are we talking about? So I just think it's just woke garbage, but it's for the right. It really is.
Yeah. So define that, because I've seen a lot of people use the term woke right. I think
it's a worthless term because of what James Lindsay did to it.
Well, explain why. Explain what it, like, was he the person who coined it?
He's the one that started to use it. I don't know if he coined it, but he's the one that popularized its use, and he bastardized it by making it so that it was anybody who basically has an identitarian worldview on the right. Because it was like that was the identitarian worldview of the left was the wokeness. It was white people as the oppressor, black people as the victims, or trans people, or whatever. So he said that essentially anybody who goes down the critical theory would on the right is woke right. So I think that the more apropos use is to say that you're woke right if you believe that there is a special protected class of humanity, which is oftentimes the Jews. I mean, that is really James Lindsay's worldview. And that's not just his. I mean, there's tons of people, Konstantin Kisin, all these other people who were in lockstep with us when we were fighting the woke. And now they go, whoa. But there is still a protected class of people, just so you know. And it's not the black people, and it's not the trans people or the gays or any of that. It's just the people in Israel. And I don't agree with any of that. I think that if we're going to go down the individualist, even the classical liberal path, like we are equal under the law, and that's all there is to it.
Right. And you don't get a pass because of what happened to your ancestors, whether
not only do you not get a pass, but you don't get reparations, you don't get special rights, you don't get anything. Nothing.
Right. Yeah. The reparations thing, I think that there's an argument to be had if you can actually trace lineage of like the stolen property and things like that. Like there are Palestinians today who can like look over the wall and like, yeah, that's my grandma's house right there. You know, like
that's
stuff
that's an achievable property claim adjudicated properly is totally fine, but that's not reparations.
Right.
That is a property claim.
Right. On an individual basis. And unfortunately, some people do say reparations. I think Maj, last time we talked to him about it a while ago, that was kind of on an individual basis, not as a class of people.
Yeah. He and I have duked it out about this topic many times. And I think we actually agree if you just drop the term reparations, because reparations encompasses basically anybody who's black in America, gets, and it's like, no, can you actually show chain of ownership?
Yeah. So kind of the flag thing, seeming like a distraction by the Trump administration. So like, let's back up a second. I know.
Let me actually address that, because I don't think it's purely a distraction.
Okay.
I mean, consider as they said, as all of his supporters who are advocating on behalf of this, they're saying that this is a left-wing form of protest. Many people are in fact justifying it as 4D chess, saying this is going to get Democrats on the street burning the American flag before the midterms. So this is like trying to make them look as bad as possible when it comes to popularity in this country. Also, you have Donald Trump, who has now rolled the National Guard into D.C., which I didn't have a problem with because it's not a state. It's its own weird, funky little thing. Yeah. But because of his alleged success when it comes to the National Guard rollout in D.C., he's now talking about, and they have in fact mobilized 1,700 additional National Guard troops to roll into 19 additional states to go into cities and do the same thing, starting with Chicago. So like, I see all of this as kind of like, it could be amounting to something really, really dangerous. I'm not saying it is necessarily, but like, if you start to make it so that you criminalize protest on certain levels, and then you start to roll out basically jackboot thugs to go into cities in America, like that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I do. I also see this as a potential big issue coming up, and even them just talking about going into Chicago. I was reading an article today. It has the likelihood of creating protests in Chicago, which could potentially get out of hand, which then could create the conditions where you could make the argument that they should go into Chicago, and that could be what they're doing. And I'm like you too. I didn't care when they went into DC. When I went to DC for the LP convention, I got such a sick feeling in my stomach. I'd never been there before. I was going to go see all the monuments. I was going to see everything. As soon as I got there, I felt so sick. I was like, I got to get out of this place as soon as I can. So
a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Exactly. It's literally how I felt.
I was like, I don't care if you roll at the National Guard. I don't care if you drop a nuke on it. Just do whatever you want.
Like, everyone there is working for the state in one way or another. And there's got to be some innocent children. We should get those out. I don't want to pull in Israel. So
I was kidding about dropping a nuke.
Just want to clarify. We don't condone dropping a nuke on Washington, D.C. So I am worried that they're going to create the conditions for bringing in the National Guard. And I just, one thing that's driving me nuts right now is all the people
I just got to, again, address this. This is not creating the conditions. They're doing it. They're going to bring the National Guard into major cities in this country in the next year. Like, it's happening. So just strap in. Like, that's where we're going.
To what end do you think? Like, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to stop at DC. I mean, they were in LA before they were in DC. You can make the argument that maybe they should have been there or whatever. I care about LA slightly more than DC, but not much more. And
I grew up two hours away from it, so it's a little bit more sensitive to me. But yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So for what reason? I have one idea in my head, and that's that they're going to get in there and they're going to show all these people what it's like to not have rampant crime in your city. And this has been a policy choice that you've been living under. And then when they pull out, it's going to get really bad again. And maybe they're making the case to people that Republicans are the party of law and order. If that's what they're thinking, I think it's going to backfire massively. But why do you think, like, surely they have to understand that the optics of this are only going to play really well for the really core MAGA base and not for a lot of other people?
Yeah, I got to be honest. I am very confused. Like, I've tried to think about it as, like, put myself in the most BoomerCon mindset, and it's like, you hate these cities. Like all of you hate them. Why do, and you recognize that they're destroyed as a consequence of Democrat policymaking. And mind you, these cities have been destroyed for years and years and years, and the domestic population continues to vote for the people in power to stay in power. So obviously they're not interested in actually changing it. So who are you saving and why?
Well,
and why are you expending these resources? Like none of this makes sense. And ultimately the people that live in these cities already think that Trump is a overt fascist. And now he's going to roll in and violate posse comitatus. By the way, just a couple days ago, he said, I'm not taking off the table rolling an active military, not just National Guard, into these cities. It's like, dude, if you roll fucking active military into cities in this country, you are an actual fascist. Like, I'm not, I'm going to start calling you it.
The action is in the reaction, though. Like, he knows that, you're not going to, I mean, I think there's maybe a few people who live in, say, the west side of Chicago and the south side, who will be glad that crime is down, even though civil liberties might be damaged. But for the most part, Trump and the Republicans are not going to win, south side of Cook County and any part of LA and all these things. So I think it is definitely both a short and a long-term electoral strategy, because if there are people protesting in the streets and things like that people on the right and people in the middle are going to be like, I don't want any part of that. And Trump is doing something about it. So I think that's exactly what it is. So but
hold on though, because those same protests that happened that went, not the same, I mean, they were extraordinary, but the Summer of Love was how Trump got ousted. So you're going to have Trump. He's going to try and spin the narrative that, look at how crazy these Democrats are. All I'm trying to do is keep you safe, and they're flipping out. But he lost in 2020. Yeah. So
and that's why he's doing. He saw that, and the fact that he was kind of. I think a lot of what he's doing this term is a reaction to things he failed to do last term, and so I think that's kind of being passive on things. So that's a good point about the summer of George Floyd and COVID and all that stuff. Like, I think he's like, oh, well, the city's burned and people got a sense that nothing was being done, that Kyle Rittenhouse was a 17-year-old kid was the one doing something. People were aching for something to be done about it. So this time I'm going to be proactive, create the situation and do something about it. And this has been my argument of like,
doesn't make much sense to me, man.
Well, it does. No, it's not right. But like, I think that what the left has done and what Obama and Biden, especially like with the immigration stuff, and it is a reaction. Things go so far to the left. I mean, 2-3 years ago, we were wondering if like we would even be allowed to do a podcast like this, right? And so
2-3 years ago, I was nuked from YouTube. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so now there is a lot more freedom of speech, and a lot of the COVID stuff has kind of been rolled back, and people are very angry about that. And I think Trump and his team or whomever is kind of driving the bus here they're trying to use that, the rage and all this stuff for the benefit of their administration and the Republican Party. And it'll backfire. I mean, it'll go too far again in the right. And so it's a dangerous game to be playing. Anytime you deploy troops to anywhere, that's
I just think it's a mistake on so many levels, because I also don't understand why they're intervening into academia. Like, these are just rabid leftist institutions that cannot be recovered. Like, if you think that you're going to recover fucking Harvard, or like, what are we even talking about? Like, every single professor in there is an overt Marxist, like, and you think that you're going to bring them into the land of the sane again? Like, it ain't happening, dude. Yeah. But I think that this goes back to, as I've become wont to do lately, got to circle back to Israel. I think that this is about his donors. Like, his donors, a lot of them are Harvard alum, they're Ivy League alum, Jeffrey Sachs and all these guys. I think that they want these institutions brought to heel. because they have become overtly antagonistic towards not just Israel, but also oftentimes Jewish people, and therefore that's why he's doing it. But my argument is these are perfect examples of what you don't want the country to be. You don't want the country to be Harvard. You don't want the country to be Chicago or Los Angeles or San Francisco or New York City. Let all of these things degrade and pick up and reinforce and bolster the places that are good, that actually represent our values. I guess I'm leaning into the decentralized revolution Mises idea, right? Yep. And I just think that's the way I view it. Is like I would much rather see efforts be put into making, I don't know, Dallas in Texas better as opposed to Chicago.
But those long-term efforts like that to let things kind of play out don't spike interest in the election and don't drive people to the polls and make people angry. And
this is the whole problem with American politics is that, in fact, Scott Horton said it on Lex Friedman. I watched the first hour. I still got 9 hours to go, where he was talking about how, the 4-year election cycle makes it so that everybody has high time preference. And I think that's a major problem because if we had a king, which I know Trump would like to be, I would absolutely be, taking a 10 to 20 year plan to really bolster all of the places that actually represent American values and letting all of the places that represent communism just fall into oblivion.
I'll be honest. I'm not sure he's too concerned with the next election. I don't really see that. I don't really see that being the case. I've actually assumed that this is somewhat of a legacy project for him, and that maybe he's got the hubris to think that he can remake all of these institutions in his image and leave that lasting legacy on the country. And that, as we know, and not enough people have found out, most of these systems can't be reformed. You can't leave them there for the next guy to come into office. You never know who the next guy is going to be. And Democrats surely should have learned that lesson. You think they would have after Trump was in office, this guy they called a fascist dictator for 4 years. And then they get into power and they, lo and behold, don't take away any of the powers of the state. They grow them. The state gains even more power. And of course, Republicans should have learned while Biden was in office that it's dangerous for the state to have all these powers. And then Trump gets in here and he's increasing all the state powers. And that's the ratchet only tightens. It only goes one way. And I actually think that's what's happening. Yeah.
I mean, and this is why I'm getting at odds with many of what were my allies under the Biden administration. But I'm thinking of, like the Aaron McIntyres and the Cernoviches of the world, who, they see the, and Matt Walsh for that matter, they see the criminalization and the hate speech laws and the added protections for the LGBT stuff and, whatever, BLM, all that. And they're like the obvious lesson from any libertarian is they shouldn't be a protected class either. But then all of these conservative guys who were anti-woke and pretty much had the same worldview as me are like, now we get to criminalize burning the flag and throw these sons of bitches in prison forever. And it's like, dude, did you not learn? Like, this is do we want to continue? Like, all right. So I've been thinking about a metaphor to explain this, or an analogy. It's like the way I view our culture war is that it's basically each side, it's mutually assured destruction. Each side has nukes, but the libertarians are the only ones saying don't fire. And everybody else is saying fucking launch. Everybody launch as fast as possible. Who cares? Oh, right now they're looking the other direction because we got Trump in. Launch, and then as soon as President AOC or Gavin Newsom gets in, launch. It's just like, man, we're in a lot of trouble. I just don't think that there's any positive way out of this.
I just don't see how they can't see the long-term vision there. Like you're left with no principled leg to stand on after you just do the same thing that they did. And they don't care. I just don't get it. Like the answer to someone criminalizing burning a flag and calling it a hate crime or whatever is not to criminalize burning a different flag.
I know
it's ridiculous.
It's just so obvious. And yet basically all of them are supporting this. It's mind blowing.
I'm so happy I read Rothbard when I was 18 and now I'm cursed with this correct view of the world and to see all this stuff. I mean, I mean, it is just like, I mean, that's what sort of democracy is. It's an illusion that, hey, we the people have like a say in what goes on, and people get manipulated, and one class loses for a period of time, and then it's like a cycle of like abuse. It's like, I've been abused, so now why should I try to break the cycle? I'm just gonna take my turn and take out my frustrations. And
I just got to point this out. That is exactly the conversation I had with Brett Weinstein. It's that I think that that's how Jewish people view the world, that they have been victimized and therefore they get to now victimize. Now, I'm not saying Jewish people, all Jewish people. I'm saying like particularly the Zionists, particularly the Israelis that were attacked on October 7th or whatever it was. They genuinely feel like, yeah, we've been messed with for too long. And like, and you could listen to Netanyahu. He talks like this all the time. He's like, we are the Jews that fight back. We're not the Jews that run anymore. And this is the same mentality. And I see it mirrored in many of these, right-wing commentators that I otherwise agree with. And I just got to say real quick too, the one that hurt me the most, I wasn't really surprised by Aaron or Cerno or any of these guys, but the one that killed me was Daryl Cooper, because he's the one that, like, you will never find someone who does a better job of understanding the humanity on both sides of a war and opposing most of the wars. And yet he can't recognize that, like, there is a value, like the hot spot for burning American flags was the Vietnam War, a war that I can't imagine that Daryl Cooper supported, especially knowing his capacity for researching history. I've never heard him talk about it, but I assume, right? And it's like, these were military veterans, some of them, that were coming back and lighting these on fire. Like, you want to jail those guys? Like, you don't think that that's a protest worth making? An unjust war where, especially given his capacity for understanding the human suffering on both sides, like, you don't see a reason that we ought to be able to protest in this way? Fucking mind-blowing. And his argument was, I don't want it to criminalize it. I just want to be able to beat the shit out of people that do it. And it's like, dude, really? Like, that's really where we're at? I was just shocked by it. And I have him, hopefully me doing this rant doesn't get him to not come on. He's supposed to come on my show in a couple weeks. So
are you talking
about
it? Are you talking about the post he just made like an hour ago? Because I haven't heard what you were
it was at
referencing here. It was at noon. Okay. He had one just an hour ago. It says, flag burning is the kind of thing a jury system was made for. We don't need to ban it. Let them burn the flag. And when someone whips their ass, send them to a jury of his peers and decide if he behaved reasonably in the face of deliberate provocation.
Yeah. So you can see the angle that he's arguing is that basically you ought to be able to beat up people who burn the American flag.
And again, like I'm surprised based on what I've heard from him that he would say that too. But like, again, what does that say? It's like politics is trauma. Like why, like, I can't imagine like wanting to beat somebody up for that. I could see like calling them a name or like, but like to actually like ball my fist up and hit somebody in the face over that. It's like, where do you have to be emotionally to do that when you're not being physically threatened? That is just bizarre.
I think for many, I get yelled at when I say boomer cons, but that's what it is. Elder conservatives.
Yeah.
I think that much of their identity is wrapped up in hoorah America, Yeah. And what's ironic about it is that they existed and voted and didn't do shit to prevent the degradation of this country that they allegedly love so much that they're willing to fight a stranger to defend the flag. But they also were the ones that were like all alive as everything fell apart, and they didn't do a damn thing about it. And most of them thought that everything was going in a perfect direction. So yeah, I'm frustrated with those people, to put it mildly.
Yeah, I think to be charitable to Daryl Cooper also, I would imagine he's looked at so many war stories and stories from veterans, things like that, and he might just be looking at it from that lens of like, oh, you saw your friend with a flag draped over their casket, and that person's gonna obviously have an emotional reaction. I still think it's incorrect. This idolatry of the symbol of a country makes no sense to me. Like that, I made a post about it, this morning or last night, like that, what the soldiers have fought and died for was not a physical flag. This piece of nylon or polyester that you can get for $10 from Walmart, they fought for all the ideas and the principles that flag is supposed to represent. and making laws like this. I mean, there's so many other things that go against the principles of that flag, like taxation. There are endless wars or regulations and all the things that our federal government does, everything that happened under COVID. But to get to decide that like this is the thing that is desecrating the flag or spitting in the face of those soldiers, like what about the actual things that they did die for? And I'm not talking about in the most recent wars. What about some of the other ones that we could all agree on were, necessary?
You mean
I think we'd have to go back to the Revolutionary War. I think let's go all
the
the way
war?
back. Like, what about what they? Because sorry, I'm going to stop ranting here. But what I'm hearing is that flag represents all the people who have fought and died for that flag. And at that time, when they fought, they were also fighting for that flag, which represented all the people that died for that flag. And so, like, what did the first flag represent?
You should subscribe to Liberty Lockdown. This is verbatim the rant that I went on just yesterday.
I went on it today, and I swear I did not listen to you first.
No, I believe you. I believe you. I believe you. I'm just saying, like, we see this the same way. But I just got to point out, too, the unbelievable irony of, like, almost all of these people are also the ones that are super, super afraid of Muslims and would clown Muslims to the end of the earth if they drew Muhammad, right? Mm-hmm. If they get violent over drawing Muhammad. But, you burn our cloth, and they're ready to fucking strap on a suicide vest and go kill it. It's like, I'm just saying, it's funny that like they don't see the similarities. They never are capable of seeing the humanity on both sides. It's like, that's how Muslims feel about, Muhammad. So
there's a quote from Chris: throughout your time in service, that flag represents everything, including your families and buddies dying next to you. It becomes deeply ingrained in your psyche. And that's what basic training is about.
But that's also not always the case, because like I know a lot of American military veterans that they don't look at the flag the same way anymore.
Absolutely.
So I just want to make it clear that that's not a uniform experience for all military veterans. But I grant absolutely that many veterans do feel that way. And
I've often found that the amount of like reverence for the flag is like inversely proportional to how much
combat,
horrible action they saw. Unfortunately, and I'm not meant to like, I don't want to offend anybody on that, but just in the guys that I know who actually did like tours as SF guys in Afghanistan and Iraq, so anyway, I did want to get your take on like the whole Epstein thing. It's a little bit late. We're not in that cycle anymore, but like when that was going on,
it's still going on, brother.
Well, but yeah, I mean, but partly, again, I think some of this stuff is distraction, but like, what do you make of how the administration handled all that?
I think it was one of the most overt cover-ups I've ever seen in my life. I mean, especially with the fact that he put in Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who spent years talking about, do not let this story, this is Dan Bongino, do not let this story go. This is the biggest thing in the world, and then once he gets into a position of power where he can actually tell us the truth about it, we go, hey, we're not letting this story go, Dan. Tell us the truth about it. And they're like, there's no there. Sorry, guys. We were wrong.
And then after he did that post, there was like some post of like, hey, if you've seen what I seen, it shake you to your core. That there was like this bizarre post of like, which like, I think that I've often thought that, when presidents get elected, I think back in the day, it was like, hey, Mr. Hoover from the FBI came down and had a talk with the president and different people. And I think that once you get to that level, there is, the president is not free to do whatever he wants to do. And that there are these, I mean, it sounds whatever, but there are dark forces and entrenched forces that have vested interest,
of course,
who do this. And
but like, where's the willing to self-sacrifice fighter Dan Bongino, who lectured? I mean, he lectured from his bully pulpit where he's making millions of dollars, saying, I need a Secret Service guy to tell us the fucking truth about what happened in Butler. I need this, I need that. And it's like, all right, well, you're now in that position, dude. Like, don't tweet cryptic shit about the nature of the deep state. Like, tell me what's going on. But you have the ability to do that. But the fact that he's not, I'm sorry, like, I don't have any patience for it. Like, we need courageous people, and Dan Bongino purported himself to be that. So I don't think I'm holding him to an expectation that's unreasonable.
Yeah, when I saw that, tweet, I immediately thought of like Ed Snowden and Julian Assange,
right,
and people like that who, you know, set their lives on fire. I think was a quote that Edward Snowden had. It's like you have to believe it, and maybe if I'm misquoting him, but like it was like to believe in something so strongly that you're willing to set your life on fire to live for that principle and do something for it. So it's frustrating, and maybe, you know, it's easy. You know, I'm not in those meetings. I don't have the access Bongino has, and maybe I would lose my nerve when I got in that position. But it is disappointing that somebody, you know, who said those things when he was out of power now has the keys to the vault and is.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of your courage or mine. This is holding someone to their own words. You said that you're that guy. You demanded it of other Secret Service agents that become a whistleblower, come out, risk everything, tell us the truth about Butler, tell us, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I just think that if you're that type of person, well, then you have to be that type of person when you have the ability to be that person.
Yeah.
So I just think it's bullshit, and I don't have any patience for it, and I'm not going to make excuses for him at all. Sure, your life's being threatened and your loved ones are being threatened. Yeah, that's the nature of this fucking game, dude. And everybody knows it. You know, like Trump was shot at. Like we all know that everything. This is all life and death stuff. So like, I'm just sick of excuses. We need fucking heroic, courageous people. And if you're not that, then resign. I don't care. Just resign. Go back to your fucking podcast. Put your tail between your legs, and then go talk tough on a microphone again.
Yep.
Do you think you could go back to his podcast? The way that he has handled Epstein.
Look how stupid the fucking Republican base is. Of course they would welcome him with open arms. They'd be like, oh, you didn't tell us anything about Epstein or any of the fucking truthful shit. We don't know anything about Butler. We don't know anything about like nothing. We know nothing new. Sure, we're gonna let you come back, and you're still gonna have 100,000 viewers every night. Sorry, I'm a little bit aggro right now, but you see what I'm like? Am I wrong though? Am I wrong?
No, you're not. I keep that. We were talking a little bit beforehand, and I've definitely been discouraged by the way that Republicans have handled each one of these things that have been thrown at them. And I'm trying to keep a little bit of hope. But as we were saying beforehand, also, like as a libertarian, you should never get hopeful about things. And I try to keep a little bit of hope that, I used to be an extreme right, like neocon conservative kind of guy. I was super pumped to watch us start bombing Iraq and all of that. I freaking voted for Mitt Romney in 2012 for crying out loud. And I'd heard of Ron Paul by that time. And so I don't know about, I'm admitting that right now. This is my last show. It's been nice hanging out with everyone. And so you can still change if you hear the right message. There could be a percentage of all the people that are Republicans and conservatives that could still change if they hear the right message. And it's not, and I don't just tell them to go F themselves every single day, which I do every other day right now. That's
you and me both.
The current strategy. Do you have hope for this movement that we all saw?
Yes.
If you were like me, I was super pumped in January this year, December of last year, January, February. I was real pumped about all the stuff, like the most libertarian rhetoric I had ever heard from an incoming administration, and like the first couple of weeks of an administration. And then I don't feel it anymore. Do you have hope for that future still?
Well, do I have hope for the future under Trump? Not particularly. But I think a lot of people, particularly libertarians, got very upset with me because I decided to vote for Trump in the 23rd hour. But I still feel like it was the right thing to do, in the sense that I think when you had, like, even if you have a politician that's lying to you, which Trump was lying to us, like everybody kind of knew that, right? That energy, that movement, like that was really special and powerful. And I think it shifted the Overton window towards like genuine libertarian ideas, non-intervention, America first, getting rid of foreign aid, stopping with this funding of proxy wars through Israel and Ukraine, and seeking peace, and cutting taxes and firing IRS agents, and
Doge.
Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, and also going after Fauci perhaps, and figuring out what happened with the vaccines, and shutting down USAID. Like, there was a lot. There was more libertarian talking points than I have ever seen in my life, and that includes Ron Paul at his apex. I mean, sure, there wasn't necessarily an end the Fed chant that was happening on the regular, but even though that was very important for, maybe us, that was not felt nationally. Like it was felt, a little bit nationally. Like this was really felt from, 70 plus million right wingers. We were like really vibing with us for a while. So the reason I'm optimistic, I know people are going to say, this is cope, you're just spinning it up. No, I am genuinely optimistic because I think that energy was real and it is real. And I think that there's a real chance that like whatever comes out of this current bullshit iteration of things could have real teeth to it and be sincere and be real. Now, that doesn't mean that the politicians that end up heading it will be real and sincere. They'll probably be frauds again. But I think it's a very interesting time to see the course correction because I think it's a very significant one.
So when are you going to run for something to be the politician that can actually lead on some of this stuff?
Oh, man. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Actually, Angela texted me about that just like 10 minutes ago.
Full confession. She texted me to ask you about it just now.
Oh, there you go.
So we're sorry, Angela, but since Clint knows, then
now that we're all of our secrets are out. Yeah, I mean, I floated the idea of running against Randy Fine. He's this blood-soaked war hawk scumbag.
Guy.
Yeah, first term Central Florida.
The big fat guy.
Yeah, he's a monstrosity in like both physically and metaphorically. He's and spiritually. He's just such a scumbag. This is going to be a great ad when they go like, this is how Clint talks about his competitor. Anyways, he's like the worst person on the planet. So I just want to see him gone. So like if it's me, cool. If it's somebody else that can beat him, awesome. But like this guy is seriously deranged. He talks about the streets of Gaza running red with blood. I mean, he's like an apocalyptic death cult dude. And he's also very gettable. He's very beatable. Like he is not liked. It's a blood red district and he barely got in there. I think I honestly could beat him. So
what district? What part of Florida?
It's
like what town?
The name of it. Yeah, it's basically like I don't know. Oh, God, what is the name of it? Sorry, it's like Central East Coast. Okay. So it encompasses a few places. So I was in Leesburg at the time. So I was actually like on basically in the district. Mm-hmm. But I don't know enough about it to really speak to it, which is going to also be in the ad campaign. You're going to be like, this guy doesn't know shit about the district he's running for. I'm just doing a great job of PR here.
Well, we'll scrub this from the YouTube feed. We'll go back in and
but anyways, just the point I wanted to get to is like, I've talked to a lot of people. I've talked to like people who are for real and know how to actually get this stuff done. And sorry to disappoint. I'm sure some people will get angry again, but I would run as a Republican because I'm trying to fucking win. So I know that I would have to raise, based off of conversations I've had with people that really know what's up, I would have to raise $3 million to be a legitimate contender. And if I raise $4 to $5 million, I would almost certainly win. Yeah. So that was the interesting aspect of this. And also, this guy is so reviled and he's such a disgusting scumbag that even AIPAC, who is like massive funding source for him, they pulled his name from their website because they're like, this guy is making us look terrible. Because every day he tweets out something like someone sends a picture of a kid getting pulled out of rubble in Gaza and he's like, thanks, love it, or some shit like that. Like, I mean, he's literally a demon. So, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously you would have my support if you did that. And
well, thank you.
It is. Yeah, to actually run for office, it's that, there is some sort of like ingrained, like it's such a horrible process to do. And like it attracts like it's the people who should be in Congress are the people who hate it the most. And the people who, it attracts the worst sort of person 98% of the time.
That's the nature of politics.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is why our political establishment is such dog shit. Is because everybody who would actually do the right thing, it doesn't want anything to do with it. And that's how I feel about it. But also, like, I'm not married. I don't have kids. I do have the right value set. I have the right work ethic. I'm also totally fucking furious about everything. And like, I'm ready to go in there and just destroy everybody. So that sounds fucking awesome to me. I would love, like, if it wasn't me, I would be like, dude, you have to do this. Like, I'd be like yelling at this guy to go do it. But I'm like, but because it's me, I'm like, I really don't want to do it. Like, I really don't want to go and do it.
Oh, that's weird. So I just looked up this Randy Fine on Twitter.
Could they fit his entire face in your monitor?
And as a fat guy myself, like, yeah.
You're not fat compared to Randy Fine.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like, it's just, I thought he was just like a evangelical, but he says he's Jewish and proud. So, I guess so.
But he only donned the yarmulke once he got into office. So I don't know if he was like, I think he's using it as a crutch at this point, but whatever.
Yeah. I wonder if he's like pretending to be Jewish.
No, I think he's probably
like
Jewish.
Rachel Dolezal, who's just like, he wants to be Jewish. So
yeah, bad, I think he's Jewish. I mean, I don't know, but I think he is. I just think he's doing it because like he's leaned into being that character for his political office. So
yeah, well, that's yeah. So anyway, wow. There was something else I wanted to ask about. Nate, do you have anything on the tip of your tongue? Mine.
It was back to the Trump thing. I mean, we could keep talking about how fat Randy Fine is if you guys want to do that. I mean, every time I see a post, I post a GIF of the like the water cup from Jurassic Park making the ripples in it. He's coming to get you every time.
There's a gerrymandering redistricting joke in there somewhere. Like you can't fit him in one district, right? Yeah. So you have to.
Well, that's why I couldn't describe the boundaries of the district because it's changing based off of whichever portion of the district he's standing in. It tilts and it widens.
Hank Johnson is concerned that his district might tip over.
Just like Guam. Oh man.
Okay. Any more Randy? Okay, making sure. No, I was gonna get back annoyingly to the Trump thing, try and keep us on target here. I don't know how much more time we have left.
You tell me, Nate, because I gave a very lengthy answer as to why I still think that there's reason for optimism. Do you disagree with anything I said? Genuinely curious.
I have been very, very let down by how easy it has been to get Republicans to go along with things that I never thought they would go along with. One of the first things that really started triggering that for me was the Trump versus Thomas Massie fights. Yep. And when I would look at the comment section, I realized online is not real life, you're going to get most of the hate there. I just could not believe that so many Republicans, conservatives, people who just a few months ago were talking about cutting the deficit, cutting the budget, trimming down the government, limited government, all that, like would be totally fine with trying to oust like the one guy who's actually trying to do those things. That's where it really started for me. And this last week has been tough, watching people with the flag burning stuff, the state capitalism push and getting 10% of Intel and moving more towards other companies now too. I'm an economics guy. I care most about economics. That's what I spend the most time reading and talking about. And I just did not see Bernie Sanders is so happy about so many things I've seen from this administration. And I own the URL bernielies.com. Like I remember, I'm offended by this, but like I started my question with earlier, I know where I came from and that I did not have any principles when it came to economics. I didn't know anything about any of the people I've read about now. I had never put 2 minutes into any thought about it. And I knew that I supported everything that Republicans did. I hated everything Democrats did. I was totally fine with all the wars that we were currently fighting and that we had ever fought. And I was mad that we didn't go all the way with some of these countries. And I'm here now, upset about some of these things Republicans are doing. And so I always have to remind myself of that people really can change if they hear the right combination of words at the right time, that they really can change. And I just have to keep saying that over and over again.
Yeah. Well, and I also want to push back against something you said to start off. Actually, I think it may have been pre-show, but you said never get hopeful. I totally reject that. I think that that's a really sad way to view life. Now I understand the context with what you're saying. You're saying don't get hopeful about politics or political action in the near term. So, yes, it's probably prudent not to get too optimistic, but I think that there is a reason to be hopeful and optimistic when it comes to like, even with all of the failings of the Trump administration, it still changed the conversation in this country in a way that that I've never seen, and that includes the Ron Paul revolution. Like it dramatically changed things. So for that reason, I still feel like the Trump movement, MAGA 2024, MAHA, whatever, the Libertarian Alliance, the whole thing was kind of the natural progression of the Ron Paul revolution, and really taking it from this niche 5 to 10% thing to 20 to 25%. Because I genuinely believe that like 20 to 25% of the country is pretty in alignment with like, let's not fight stupid wars. Let's get our budget under control. Let's stop doing, let's cut taxes. Like libertarian, like a lot of libertarian ideas are very, very popular. So for that reason, I am optimistic. I'm hopeful. And I just wanted to point out too, I think that, and I talked to Dave and Scott and Luke about this on my show, at Ron Paul's birthday. I think that the real fight that we ought to be locked in on, and maybe this is just me and just the world and the lane that I'm in, and maybe people will disagree, and that's fine. I think that like the America First, like nationalist but identitarian nationalist thing that's happening, versus the libertarian non-interventionist America First camp, which I consider myself part of. I think that that's the fight right now. I think that that's where people's energy and attention and conversations and debates, like as much as I love seeing Scott Horton on with Lex Friedman for 10.5 hours, I would much rather see him duking it out with Nick Fuentes. Like I think that that's where the interest is at, the eyeballs are at, and the real like cutting edge, interesting conversation that's being had. So I know a lot of the old guard libertarians are going to fucking hate me for saying that, but I think it's really interesting, like the energy and the movement that Nick Fuentes has created, and the young people that he's got energized in a way that I've rarely ever seen. And like, are you just gonna let him take them into the area that you think is terrible? Because that's gonna happen if you don't say something, if you don't engage in this. So that's for me. My advice is to engage in it.
For me, that's where both the optimism and the pessimism come in, is that a lot of people are upset about the right things, and it takes leadership to point them to the right solutions. And so with what, again, it always goes back to Ron Paul. Ron Paul, like Scott always says, Ron Paul didn't expect, you don't have to change the way you think about America. You don't have to change your religious beliefs or the way you dress or anything. You just have to, it's okay to be anti-war and to be anti-central banking because you love your country and all these things. And so to appeal to the right and say there is a way that you can be against all the things, again, the critical theory, the woke stuff, the interventionism, all of this stuff, it really does come down to leadership. And obviously some people are going to go in the wrong direction, but if we have people like Clint, in a small way, what we do on this show, but in a broader way, what we're doing with the Mises Caucus, and if we have a libertarian party who is rightly aligned on these things, which is back in question now, unfortunately, but if there are people to nudge people in the right way, liberty will win. But it does take people to stand up for it and to not be afraid to engage people who aren't already libertarians, which I think that with the old Libertarian Party of the last 50 years, pre-Angela and pre-Mises Caucus, it was very insular. If you don't accept the nap into your heart, then we're not going to talk to you.
Right.
And so
which is cult shit, by the way.
Right. Well,
like, I'm serious. Like if you don't accept our Lord and Savior, I don't know, Paul, that we can't have a conversation. Like that's really dumb. So basically what I'm saying is, yes, let's get in the fucking trenches. Like this is where the energy's at. This is where like these young guys who are super passionate and actually really smart, most of them, they are seeing like the code of the matrix right now. Yeah. And you can either let Nick dictate how they read that code, or you can try and say, look, I see a lot of it the same way, but I see this line here you're deciphering it wrong. You've translated it improperly. And not in a condescending fashion. Like, I think that Nick actually has a lot of really good analysis, but I think that his conclusions I don't agree with, and I would like to have that on a respectful, sincere level. And I think that's what they don't get. They don't get treated that way. They get either mocked, dismissed, smeared, laughed at. Oh, you incels in your basements, blah blah blah. It's like no. Like I understand these kids. Like I don't want to, be condescending and say they're kids, but like most of them are in their early 20s, or some of them are even younger than that. So like to me, you are kids. And I'm really optimistic about where a lot of those kids will end up in terms of ideology, worldview, leadership, and I think that they could be a really special movement. But if you want to do the pessimistic thing, they can end up being a really scary, dangerous movement too, potentially. So,
Randy Fine is so fat he got on the scale and it said to be continued. But do we anything else we want to? We could sit and talk all night, but maybe we'll just have to do it again in a couple of months or something like that. Or if you do, that's a good idea to try to get. Maybe offline, I'll talk to you about some like maybe intra-libertarian debate type things or something like that. Off the top of your head, who would you like to see debate whom? I guess, Clint.
Oh,
whether on this show,
I'll be honest with you. I don't want to debate any libertarians, to be honest.
No.
I find it very tiresome personally.
No, I didn't ask who you want to debate. Who would you like to see debate? Like what
are you talking libertarians only, or any
what are
ideology with?
Oh, just anything, something that pertains to what we just said about pushing people toward liberty.
I think it's going to happen. I think Dave is going to go for round 2 or 3 or whatever it is with Nick. So I think that'll happen. As for like other people, I'd have to mull it over to really think about who are the other people that are kind of in Nick's camp that aren't him. But I just really see that as like a very interesting, because the reason I say it's like it's not just Fuentes. It's like you got the Candace Owens camp, you got the Tucker Carlson camp, you got the MTG, the Thomas Massey. Like they're all kind of diagnosing things, basically reading the Matrix the same way, and then the conclusions are like anywhere from 60 to 90% the same as what we conclude. Yeah, and it's like that's what I care about right now. I don't really give a shit about the boomercons who are like, you burn my flag, I'm push you in the ground. Like I don't care about debating those people. Like I really care about debating that thing. I think that's where the interesting stuff is happening. So I'll think about it.
Okay. I think probably be a good time to wrap it up. Always leave them wanting more. Clint, keep up the good work on your show, and just what you're doing. And again, like if you are who you are still and still have your principles, then we will support you to the degree that we can.
Appreciate it.
And what you do. So, we appreciate, you've been at Mises Caucus events and helped us out a lot. And, I know the Libertarian Party is sometimes, it's a lot to take.
It's so brutal. Dude.
No, it is. Trust me. No one knows that more than those of us in the board of the Mises Caucus.
I've got about half the Libertarian Party blocked, but
yeah. But no, we appreciate it, and we'll nothing but the best wishes to you, and keep up the good work, and we'll see you down the road. Okay.
Thanks, guys. Same to you.
See you.
Good seeing you.
Bye bye.